Hey, everybody, welcome into Star Wars Republic, our show about all things Star Wars here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about The Bad Batch, Season 2, Episode 14, called Tipping Point. So, it was an exciting episode. But before we get into the recap of this episode, just want to let all of you know that this is a spoiler-filled episode. So I'm going to be throwing spoilers out there throughout this recap. So if you have not watched the episode, please go and watch it on Disney Plus. And then after watching it on Disney Plus, come back and enjoy this episode. Okay? And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to hit that like and the subscribe and the notification bell so that you can be notified about a new episode of Star Wars Republic and all of our other content here on the Arena Productions. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the first image. Okay, so here we have an image of Rex, and obviously Echo is working with Rex. There's this Imperial transport ships, and they're taking these like clone prisoners away. And Echo and Rex and them, they're there for the rescue, and it's a really cool scene where they come and they put fire on the ship, and they're able to disconnect one of the parts of their own ship and connect it to the transport ship and get in there. And there's a firefight, and they're able to rescue the other clone troopers. And there's a data bank that the Imperial leader on the ship was telling the troopers to erase the data, before the intruders were able to get to the bridge there. But obviously, they weren't able to erase all of the data. Echo was able to get a lot of that data. And they were able to get off the transport ship and then, of course, get out of there before all of the other reinforcements had come to take over the fight. But it was interesting that there were a few TIE fighters there, but they were able to jump into hyperspace and get out of there. So, that was a pretty cool scene, with Rex and with Echo and them rescuing some other clones. So obviously in this next image here, of course, we have Crosshair, and he was imprisoned. Of course, after the last episode he was in where he shot that lieutenant, killed the Lieutenant Prick, I call him. But anyway, he's there, and you can't see him so much here, but Dr. Hemlock, good old Dr. Hemlock. I'm calling him Dr. Frankenstein now, basically, in this show, because he used to be in the Republic Science Division, but because of his unorthodox ways of doing scientific experiments, he was expelled, and obviously he picked up his work with the Empire and all. And in this image here, he's trying to give Crosshair an opportunity to be freed, but he has to give information about where Clone Force 99 and Omega are, and obviously Crosshair doesn't know exactly where they are. But now it seems like Crosshair has just given up on the Empire. He's like, F the Empire, and I'm not going to tell you anything. And so with that, Dr. Hemlock, or I'm calling him Dr. Frankenstein, decides to try to use an interrogator droid to inject him with fluids and get information out of him. And it's the same type of interrogator droid that we see in A New Hope that goes into the room where Princess Leia is, basically. Okay, so in the next image, obviously, we get Echo, and he is back on Coruscant with Senator Chuchi and Howler. And Howler tells the senator that the clones are getting transported to some unknown world. And most of the clones that were being transported out were just disappearing. They would never hear from them again. But of course, Echo tells Chuchi that they were able to extract that data, and he knows someone that would be able to decrypt the information. And so obviously that means that he is going to go and find Hunter and the crew, because obviously Tech would be able to decrypt the information. So it's interesting that we, get back to Coruscant briefly in this episode. But yeah, I mean, Echo, he's got to get this information decrypted. So obviously he has to go and find the crew. But I want to go back to this image with Crosshair, because obviously Crosshair, he tried to escape. It was interesting that as he was trying to escape, he shoots a few of the clone troopers, and then he threatens Emery, and then he just stuns her and takes her security. I think it's a security information, and then he gets into the access corridor, and he was able to send a distress message to the crew, to Clone Force 99, but as he was doing that, of course, there was some type of gas that, of course, Dr. Frankenstein, I call him, he is now immune to, obviously, but the clones are not. And so, yeah, Crosshair passes out, and of course, it was a fatal attempt to escape, but nonetheless, he was able to get a message out to the crew. And in that transmission, basically, it was Plan 88, the seeker you have to hide, they are after, and then he collapsed. But basically, that means that you guys are being hunted. So you have to be careful. And it's interesting, like later in the episode, the crew does get this information, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But let's get to the next image. So anyway, we get a kind of another cameo of Grand Moff Tarkin here, and obviously Dr. Frankenstein Hemlock is basically telling him about the ship attack and the data being lost, and of course Tarkin is now worried that the stolen data would compromise the location of where they are and what they're doing. But he's, of course, Hemlock is trying to reassure Tarkin that it's an undercover operation, and there's there were no records of the location and its purpose, and that Tarkin asks him to file a report about how he wants to of course continue, and what kind of experiments, I guess, he's going to be doing. So it was an interesting little tidbit with Tarkin and the dialogue between him and Hemlock. So obviously Tarkin is involved in pretty much everything that's going on with this research project, it seems like. Okay, let's get to the next image. So obviously Echo gets back to Pabu. Of course, he finds out where, of course, the crew is, and before he lands, obviously Omega and Tech are in the Marauder, and they're flying around, and Omega is practicing her flying skills, and she's got some pretty good flying skills. It was pretty interesting. But anyway, it was cool to see in the image here the reunion between Echo and Omega. So Omega giving him a hug there, and of course she missed him, even though it wasn't that long that he has been gone. So anyway, Echo gives the data to Tech to decrypt, and obviously he's able to decrypt it, and basically gives information about Hemlock. Unfortunately, they're not able to find the location, but of course they were able to get Crosshair's transmission as well. But yeah, Hunter he's kind of skeptical, because he doesn't trust Crosshair so much now, because the last time he gave a distress call like that, it was a setup. And so Hunter basically thinks it's going to be another setup. But we shall see. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Obviously, they're probably going to go and try to rescue Crosshair again. But of course, that could lead to a seriously dangerous situation, because obviously Hemlock is after Omega. Omega is the key to his experiments. So anyway, let's get to the final image here. So obviously, here, Hemlock is interrogating Crosshair once again and trying to find out the location of Omega, and that why does he resist? Because he could be freed if he gives him the information that he wants. Obviously, Omega is the key to everything, and Crosshair's not going to give him the information. First of all, he doesn't know exactly where they are. But anyway, he wouldn't want to give him the information now anyway, because of how the Empire has treated him and all the other clones. And so then, of course, Tipping Point, which is the name of this episode, Crosshair is basically at the tipping point now. And now it's basically a matter of time. How long can he withstand the pain? How high is his pain threshold? We're going to find out. And it's going to be interesting because, in the next week, we have the season finales of the Bad Batch for season 2. Episode 15 is titled The Summit. Episode 16 is titled Plan 99. And they are both being shown back to back next week by Disney Plus. So it's going to be a 2-part season finale next week. So on March 29th, really looking forward to bringing that to you. And it was a good episode. We're starting to get all of the little pieces tied together now of what's going on in the show. Of course, with the scientific aspects of it and the experiments with the cloning that's continuing, and of Clone Force 99, and with Crosshair, and all of that's going to come to the tipping point next week, especially. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to you and bringing you the recap for the 2-part season finale next week. So yes, and also we have a Patreon, and this episode and all of our episodes of Star Wars Republic go up to our Patreon ad-free for all of our patrons. So think about coming and supporting us over on Patreon. So anyway, I've been your host, Expat, and hope you enjoyed Season 2, Episode 14 of The Bad Batch, titled Tipping Point. So this was our spoiler recap of that. So anyway, we look forward to bringing you the season finale 2-parter next week. So until then, take care, everyone. May the Force be with you. Peace out.